The Galactic Consortium had strict protocols about humans. Protocol 7 Alpha. Never leave them unsupervised with young species. Protocol 7 Beta. Monitor all educational interactions. Protocol 7 Gamma. Report anomalous behavior immediately. Sergeant Vox took these protocols seriously. He had to. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous in ways the databanks couldn't quite categorize. They were the species that had looked at a death world and called it home. The species that had domesticated apex predators and called them good boys. The species that responded to mortal danger with something they called spite. So, when Vox's helmet display flagged unusual activity in Recreation Sector 9, he moved fast. Captain Rhea hadn't meant to cause an incident. She'd simply been walking through the station's communal gardens when she'd encountered the crothy cubs. 6 of them, no taller than her knee, covered in downy silver fur that caught the artificial sunlight. They'd been playing near the fountain, their chittering voices high and excited. What caught her attention wasn't their play. It was their eating. The cubs had scattered their meal across the grass. Chunks of processed protein vegetable matter spilled nutrient drink forming puddles. They ate with their hands, mouths, whatever appendage was closest. Food flew through the air as they wrestled and tumbled. One cub had somehow gotten nutrition paste in his ear tufts. Rhea had 3 younger siblings back on Earth. The scene was universally familiar. "Oh, sweethearts, no," she'd said, kneeling down. "That's not how we do it." The cubs had frozen, their large eyes, 3 each, blinking at her in sequence. Humans were rare on the station. Most species found them unsettling. Too many teeth, too much white in their eyes. That uncanny ability to track movement that spoke of persistence predation. But Rhea smiled. And something in that expression bypassed millions of years of evolutionary caution. The cubs crept closer. "First rule," Rhea said, pulling a cloth from her pocket to wipe the nearest cub's face. "We don't waste food. Food is precious. Someone worked hard to make it, and our bodies need it to grow strong." The cubs chittered softly, listening with an intensity that would have surprised their creche master. "Second rule, we share nicely. No grabbing. No fighting. There's enough for everyone." She demonstrated, breaking a protein bar from her own rations into equal pieces. "See? Fair portions." One cub, braver than the others, reached out with a tiny 3-fingered hand. Rhea placed a piece in his palm, then waited. The cub looked at the food, then at his siblings, then carefully broke his piece in half, offering it to the smallest of their group. Rhea's smile widened. "Good job. That's called kindness." She spent the next hour teaching them what her grandmother had taught her. Elbows off the table, or ground, chew with mouths closed, say please and thank you. The cubs absorbed it all, their young minds adapting with the plasticity that made juvenile species so precious and so vulnerable. By the time Sergeant Vox arrived with his containment team, the cubs were sitting in a neat circle, taking turns with their food, carefully wiping their faces with leaves Rhea had shown them how to use as napkins. "Captain Rhea," Vox's voice crackled through his helmet speakers, synthesized into something that could shatter crystal. "Step away from the juveniles immediately." Rhea looked up, confused. The cubs squeaked in alarm at the armed soldiers surrounding them. She instinctively moved between the children and the weapons. "Sergeant, what's happening?" "You are in violation of Protocol 7 Alpha," Vox stated. His rifle trained not quite at her, not quite away. "Unsupervised contact with developing sentience. This is a code yellow containment breach." "Containment breach." Rhea's voice pitched upward. "I was teaching them table manners." "Unscheduled educational intervention," Vox corrected. "Human behavioral modification of juveniles. Do you understand what you've done?" Behind Rhea, the smallest cub whimpered. Without thinking, she reached back, her hand finding his head, stroking the soft fur in a gesture older than civilization itself. The cub quieted immediately. Vox's weapon lowered slightly. His species didn't have facial expressions humans could read, but his posture shifted. "You've imprinted them," he said quietly. "I taught them not to throw food," Rhea protested. "That's not imprinting, that's basic watch," Vox pointed. The cubs had arranged themselves behind Rhea, mimicking her protective stance. When she'd reached back to comfort one, the others had unconsciously leaned toward her hand, seeking the same reassurance. "In 20 minutes, Vox said. You taught them cooperation, resource sharing, delayed gratification, and pack hierarchy. Their cortisol levels dropped by 40%. Their social bonding markers increased exponentially. Captain, their own creche master has been trying to instill these behaviors for 3 standard months. Rhea blinked. So, I'm in trouble for teaching them manners too effectively? Vox's helmet tilted, the Karathi equivalent of a laugh. You're in trouble because you're human, and you did human things without thinking about how terrifying those things are. He lowered his weapon entirely, waving off his team. Do you know what you call a species that can look at any juvenile creature, even ones from species they've never encountered, and instinctively understand how to nurture them? We call them apex caregivers. It's more dangerous than being apex predators. That's ridiculous, Rhea said, is it? Vox gestured at the cubs who were now holding hands or paws in a chain, organizing themselves without prompting. You spent an hour with them. They're already forming social structures based on your example. Imagine if you'd spent a year, a decade. Imagine if Earth had done this deliberately to the younger species. Rhea was quiet for a moment, looking at the cubs, understanding dawning. Humanity didn't conquer with weapons. They conquered with cookies and bedtime stories, with the ability to look at anything small and vulnerable and think, I should protect that. So what happens now? She asked. Vox sighed, a sound like wind through caves. Now I report the incident. The council debates, and probably he paused, watching one cub carefully clean another's face exactly as Rhea had shown them. Probably they invite you to teach your etiquette to every juvenile facility on the station. Officially, with supervision. Because sometimes a containment breach is just evolution happening faster than protocols can adapt. Vox turned to leave, then stopped. Captain? Thank you. My daughter is in this creche group. She's the little one you comforted first. Rhea watched him go, then looked down at the cubs clustering around her legs, and thought about her grandmother's words. Manners aren't rules, sweetheart. They're how we show love to each other. The galaxy wasn't ready for that kind of love, but it was going to learn.